are going live on Facebook again tonight. Welcome to our professional property series brought to you, as I mentioned, live. And welcome and thank you for joining us. Okay. One good thing that's come out of this COVID-19 is it's made me step outside my box a little bit and bring you my professional property series to you live. So each week on a Thursday night at 8 p.m, I've been posting interviews from all sorts of professionals to assist in all things property. This has been from solicitors to pool inspectors and many other trades and services that will assist you along your property journey. It's been a crazy time for everyone. And for those with an interest in real estate, especially with the laws changing for what seems to be to us every other day. In fact, the Victorian government are sitting tonight, so stay tuned tomorrow for another update from me, more hair and makeup and lights and cameras. For those who are watching who don't know me, my name is Melanie. We started Domain & Co 20 years ago this year to help investors with their rental properties and also to help people with assisting with their purchasing and selling of homes and investment properties as property advocates. Property management is my passion, which I'm very involved with still in our business. And for those who don't know me, we run a very tight ship with loads of systems and procedures, which has really helped during these strange times. As I mentioned, every Thursday I've been posting an interview for my professional property series, so please jump onto my page and scroll back, as I know there will be other topics there that interest you, and love to see your likes and comments. Tonight, I have a very special guest with me. Sam Smith is from Property Insurance Plus, one of the insurance companies that we refer our investor clients to for both landlord and building insurance. Sam, would you like to tell our watchers a little bit more about yourself?
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Melanie, for having me tonight. I've been working with PIP now which is our acronym and shortened name, for 5 years. The company started about 12 years ago and was designed to provide specialist cover to owners. What we've grown rapidly over time because we do offer a really quite a market-leading product and a competitive option in the landlord insurance sector. My role within the business is working with real estate agents and property managers to help them access our cover and also support them through understanding policy benefits and how the claims process can best be managed for their owners. Our policies consider lots of things for owners. It considers rent loss events, it considers damage by tenants or third parties. It also includes legal liability cover, all the things that an investor needs to provide themselves with optimal protection on their investment property. So when an owner suffers insured loss, they should be able to claim and get some benefit back from that. So having good benefits combined with low excesses means that you can claim on most loss items.
Yeah, and it's been terrific working with you over the number of years that we have. You make certainly claiming and placing policies super simple. Great to see you watching, Warwick and Megan and Yolanda. Thanks for joining us tonight. So COVID-19, as I mentioned, has thrown us all into a bit of turmoil. Watching some of the social channels and hearing the questions from our clients, there's been a lot of confusion around what landlords are now covered for with regards to their landlord insurance policies. The government have asked landlords to negotiate terms with tenants suffering hardship due to the COVID-19, and most commonly I've heard that landlords will not be protected under their landlord insurance for rent loss if they negotiate the terms of their agreement already set with their tenant. Sam, this is, I guess, a big myth or rumour that we need to bust open, I think, right from the start.
Definitely. Look, it is certainly a challenging time, and to navigate through this with, what is suggested by the government to help everybody get through this is really difficult. But the cover that an owner has purchased is the cover that they have for their property. So that doesn't change. The policy benefits, the limits on your policy, that doesn't change. You've bought that insurance. What is changing now is the way that an owner can mitigate their loss, and that's causing the immediate concern. The legislation ultimately guides us and tells us what the tenant is liable to pay us. So it means that down the track that you can claim for what the tenant is liable for.
Absolutely. Leslie, great. One of our new clients is joining us. Tanya, Kelly, Sue, thanks for watching. Guys, if you've got any questions at all, please feel free to post them in the comments. We will keep the questions to the end, but as you think about them, post them in the comments and we will make sure that we answer it if we haven't already answered it in our chat tonight. So Sam, what happens if a tenant goes into default on the reduced rental amount then?
Yeah, so if you've got a tenant in a hardship situation, you can certainly negotiate a rent reduction with them, and that's what the government is encouraging us to do. But if rent default still occurs, you'd be putting a claim through for the default that occurs on that reduced amount. So there's still a claim there for you down the track. It's just on the reduced amount.
Great. And really, that's what the owner was expecting to receive in any case. So that's really great news. You can obviously only talk about the policy that PIP has in place with existing owners, but do you know if this is across the board with other insurance companies also?
Yeah, look, specialised insurers have to, provide support against the legislation. So that should be a similar process, but what each policy covers, you'll need to check with your provider on what your benefits and limits are.
Yeah, fantastic. There's more to your policy than just the rent loss coverage though. What about the other items that you cover, like coverage for the landlord's contents, rent loss for untenantable events, death, legal liability, and that's just to name a few of what's in your policy? Are these all still covered?
Absolutely. As I said, the benefit limits and circumstances don't change on the policy. So, obviously the focus is around rent at the moment, but, events will still happen that lead to damage and things that you have to repair in your property. So you put through claims for those.
Yeah, great. Shout out to Peter, Darren, Kelly, Gerald, nice to see you here. Thank you so much for joining us. A few weeks ago, PIP and all the other insurance companies we deal with closed their doors to new clients. Like, oh my God. This has been a bit of a concern for obviously us, because we do ask that all of our landlord clients do have insurance in place, and also for the investors. So the concern was there about not being able to place coverage with the specified landlord insurance companies that we recommend. What was the reason for the stop on the new policy, Sam?
Yeah, look, sadly, the risk just became too great across the market. Like we saw in our supermarkets, people panic bought insurance. And at the moment, we don't have a benchmark on how this is going to play out. We're kind of assessing the markets every day to see how this is going to work. But ultimately, for new investors coming into the market, that's really scary because a product that they thought was available to them suddenly wasn't. So to counteract this, we've actually relaunched our landlord policy available for new customers, so they can still get that cover for their liability, their contents, and they can continue as best they can during this time. And ultimately, we hope that rent default is available in due course as well.
Yeah, great. The eviction moratorium for tenancies is only for financial hardship due to COVID-19 impact. From March the 29th, we cannot issue a notice to vacate to these cases based on rent arrears. How does this affect the insurance policy? How should owners and property managers be handling tenants who have not paid their rent and are eligible to receive a notice to vacate, followed by a VCAT hearing for possession in the usual circumstances? Yeah. What would you...
Yeah, look, you just need to continue to manage the tenancy in line with the legislation. So you can only do what you can legally do at the time and issue the breach notices along with normal, communications that you have between yourselves and the tenant to make sure that outstanding rent is managed. And then if the owner needs to claim for an actual default issue down the track, all that supporting evidence will help support a claim.
Absolutely. Welcome Sandra, Leah and Anthony for watching tonight. Great to see you here. So that's great news. And this week, as you mentioned, PIP has now started offering policies again to new clients. We're pretty happy about that, to be able to offer the landlord specialised policy, which we much prefer from our point of view. With the new policy, Sam, there are some restrictions though. Can you tell us about those?
Yeah, sure. So what we've done is we relaunched the policy with the same benefits and limits that we've always offered, but we've just taken out the events that relate to rent default. So owners will still be covered for contents. There's also loss of rent that applies that's not related to tenant default. So those items are still in the policy, and we've addressed it so we can go back to market and offer the maximum cover we can at this time.
Yeah, great. So the premium will be different, I assume, with the amount of coverage lowering somewhat through the pandemic?
Yes, definitely. So our standard policy for landlord cover used to be $287 per annum. It's now gone down to 220. There's further benefits if you've got multiple properties insured with us. And ultimately, you know, if the situation changes and we can reintroduce default, we'll also offer that to customers so they can opt to increase their cover if they want to.
Yeah, absolutely. Great. And if you're in another state other than Victoria, you can click on the link in the text of this interview and I'll email you the cover options that are available from PIP. Sam, when do you think the full coverage will come back online?
Oh, I need a crystal ball. Don't have one just yet.
That would be so awesome.
We just need to keep monitoring the rolling, you know, government advice and assess the economic impact. And we're working daily to try and work through that.
Yeah, great. Okay. When the pandemic is over, that crystal ball that you were talking about, will new owners be able to up their coverage to include the rent default? And I assume pay a bit of an extra premium for that?
Yeah, definitely. So we'd send you an offer to obviously increase your cover, and then you can add an endorsement to your policy and pay, you know, the difference in premium to get that higher cover.
Yeah, fantastic. So as I mentioned earlier, tonight or in the morning, there'll be an announcement from the Victorian Parliament to finally legislate potentially how we need to manage tenants in hardship. We've been waiting weeks and weeks for this in Victoria. So being in a bit of limbo land with announcements being made, but sort of nothing set in concrete. Do you think this will have any effect on your insurance policy?
Look, we need to keep acting in accordance with the legislation. So we actually have to see how those changes have to be implemented, and then we have to take that into assessment of claims.
Yeah, great. There's been a few questions come through, and feel free if anyone's watching to throw any questions out there. Welcome Steph and Diana and Susan, nice to see you there. Got some great number of people watching, so it's terrific. Belle, I agree with you, it's about time. They've taken way too long to announce and finalise, but it's not here yet, so let's just see how we go on that. A question that was messaged to me from Kylie: in Queensland, a tenant can leave giving 7 days notice. Are the Queensland landlords still covered for the lease break fees, even though they cannot access the bond to cover any of these costs?
Yeah, so lease break fees are considered like, you know, fees that you can take from the bond, but if you're not allowed to take it, you also can't claim it. So yes, there may be short-term changes to legislation that impact clients at this time, but you can't then, you know, claim that through insurance if your tenant's not liable for the cost.
So then that would be similar for Victoria. The proposed changes are that we won't be able to charge lease break costs for a tenant suffering financial hardship due to COVID-19. I assume that's going to be then the same in Victoria.
Yeah, yep, absolutely.
Yeah, okay, terrific. We've got Anil watching, which is great, welcome, and a few other people have joined us too, which is terrific. So as a company, Domain & Co also recommend EBM as another choice of specialised landlord insurance policy. As yet, they have not opened their doors to new clients that I've heard. I touched base with them a couple of days ago, but we'll place new policies for existing clients. Speaking with our rep there, they are not far off bringing out a new offering also. Sam, did you want to add anything else into what we've discussed so far tonight?
No, look, I think, you know, the good news for investors is that if you've had insurance, you know, you've got that still in place. And I think that was the biggest fear out there, is that things would change. Absolutely. If you had a policy, it would change, and it hasn't. You've bought your cover already, you know, that's where you're at.
Yeah, no, it's, and you know, as you said, there was that bulk buying franticness to start with, where owners haven't seen the benefit of having the landlord insurance in place. But I mean, really, for under $300 a year, that you hope is a waste of money, because if you have to make a claim, there's something, you know, some bad event that's happened. So let's hope that $300 is a waste of money that you can claim on tax anyway, and you know, but you're covered. So those that have already got it in place, fantastic. Renewals will be fine going forward.
Yeah, well, we're still making a determination on our renewals, so we'll go to market with that in due course. But certainly the existing policy holders have not been affected at this point.
Yeah, fantastic. Okay. Jojo, thanks for joining. Jane, great. Fantastic that you're enjoying all the info. Thank you for your comments. Warwick's mentioned, so if the tenant stays for 6 months and doesn't pay the rent, and we issue all the notices that we need to do landlords need to wait until the tenant is out after 6 months? Because that's the moratorium on the eviction. to make a claim?
Yeah, look, you do with rent default. What you need to do is retain the tenant's bond to start to trigger the claim process. So you need to wait for that process to play out, unfortunately. And I know that that's a scary time for owners to think about that, but that is ultimately how the insurance, applies once the rent default occurs. Yeah,
it's going to be a tough 6 months, I think, for some owners. Hopefully not too many owners, that's for sure.
Yeah, and look, hopefully with what the government have implemented around supporting people that are truly affected during this time and also assessing rent relief, we're hopeful that it doesn't become that 6 month danger period for owners.
Yeah, that's right. And the tenants still need to realise that they are contractually obligated to pay their rent on the lease that they have signed to start with. And there's a lot of assistance out there that we're trying to help with, and the government's trying to help with to get them through this time as well. But landlords are also suffering equally. They've also lost their jobs and the ability to make mortgage payments and running of property payments, even if the mortgage has been put on hold, that they have to pay back in the future. That's a big one, I think, for a lot of tenants to realise, is the owners aren't getting away scot-free. They will have to pay back what mortgage payments they should have been paying in the future. Joseph, thanks for joining us. Andy, very happy to supply all the information. Thank you, and welcome for watching too, Jack. So thanks so much for joining us tonight, Sam, from Property Insurance Plus. Sam has featured in some of our past professional property series on other topics regarding landlord insurance, and most likely will do in the future as well. We really appreciate you taking your time tonight, Sam, to help us navigate this part of looking after an investment property. And I'm sure that all of our watchers out there have gained a lot from the interview as well. Thank you for joining us, to all of the watchers, and for the future watchers as well, because it will be posted on Facebook and onto our YouTube channel, Melanie Dennis Property. Thank you for the questions that have come through. And if you're watching this at a later date and want to either PM me with a question or pop it into the feed, I will see it and I will make sure that question is answered for you. Again, if you'd like to know more information on the policy now offered by Property Insurance Plus, or PIP, please click on the link and we'll email it straight over for you straight away. And this relates to all states across Australia as well. It's not just for Victoria. So thank you so much again for organising it. And we really appreciate you coming along tonight.
Thank you. All the best.
Thank you for watching another one of my professional property series interviews. I'd love to see your comments, and please like and subscribe to my social channels on Facebook and YouTube. I welcome any suggestions for new topics too.